it's more of a mental sport than a physical sport, and yeah, I just got stuck right into it from the start. Bowls is a sport that you can play, by yourself. So you can play 1v1 in a singles game, or you can play as a team. Two of my opponents that I beat in the event were one of them was a gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games. If you look at our membership across the whole island, there's maybe around 500 people. Events like that and playing in, Gold Coast, I was in Sydney in May, places like that make you a better bowler because you're more adaptable to different surfaces. Commonwealth has always been my main goal since the age of like 10.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Sportscast Jersey. Today we are joined by local lawn bowler Megan Kivlin. How are you doing, Megan?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you, Dan?
Good. Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad. As always, whoever the guest is on my podcast, I always ask them if they've always been into sport since a young age.
Yeah, I mean, bowls has always been my thing anyway. So I've played bowls since I was, what, 6 or 7? So like 16, 17 years. But I've always been sports orientated, whether it's been hockey, netball, been playing a bit of cricket and softball. But I always like to get stuck in, but bowls has always been my thing.
Yeah. What kind of first got you into balls? Was it a parents played it, or did you just go up one day and loved it?
So my granddad has always played it, and he was like, "Oh, you should come along and have a go." And there was like this older gentleman that used to do like a little kids club, so we'd gone along, and I don't know, it's just you get a buzz for it. It's a game that's very addictive. You can get hooked into it very easily because it just looks very easy and it's not.
Yeah.
So I think at the age of like 6 or 7, it was a different sport to your hockeys, your footballs. It's more of a mental sport than a physical sport, and yeah, I just got stuck right into it from the start.
Yeah, definitely. And were you good right from the start, or was it a progression kind of go a lot of times and you improve?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of had a natural ability, but the more you practice, the better you get. So, like, because I've played for quite a few years now, like, I obviously do still practice. But when I was like in my teens, like kind of 13 to 16, when I was kind of going through like the Scotland side, and I used to practice like nearly every day. It's just one of those things you need to get it ingrained into the muscle memory before you can get going.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Before we go into all of the success that you've had over the years, just explain the sport itself for people who probably aren't as aware as, like you say, the kind of hockeys and what have you. What does it involve, and what kind of the rules and the different aspects to it?
So bowls is a sport that you can play, by yourself. So you can play 1v1 in a singles game, or you can play as a team. So you've got disciplines like pairs, triples, and fours. There's lots of mixed disciplines as well. So you've got like, all the Channel Island stuff that we play against Guernsey. You've got all of the kind of mixed event. We do like mixed pairs. It's it's a funny sport. It's the only way I can describe it. You've got this one little white or yellow ball called a jack, and the main aim of the game is to beat your opponents and get your balls closer than your opponent's balls. Obviously, depending on the discipline, depends how many balls you play with. So if it's 1v1, you've got 4 balls, whereas if you're 4 versus 4 in a fours game, you've only got 2 balls. So depending who you're playing with and what event, it can change. But the main aim of the game is to get your balls as close to the jack compared to your opponent.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well explained. And it's an interesting sport. And obviously, we saw at Island Games recently, a lot of people would have seen bits of it there. How we'll go on to what you've achieved, but obviously, you've represented Jersey, but you've also competed for yourself and what have you. How much do you enjoy the representing Jersey side of things?
No, I do enjoy it. It is a little bit different because we obviously have to pay our own way. So financially, I mean, I use all my personal holidays for bowls, but no, it's a buzz. You're such a small net of people. Like everyone, even though you don't often play with them, and it's good that we can go away as a squad and actually like someone that you're playing with, you might not play at the same club, but they're probably your next door neighbor. So it's good. It's definitely different to what I'm used to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I want to pick up on a few things. You sent over your portfolio and it's full of amazing things. And in 2016, you were the British Isles under 25 single champion, and you were only 16. Um,
Yeah.
how explain that feeling and that tournament itself?
I mean, the tournament in itself, like I was the underdog, I was playing against people that had just recently been to the Commonwealth in 2014. I was playing against two of my opponents that I beat in the event, where one of them was a gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games. So to me, I was there to prove a point. To follow on, from the British Isles, the year before that when I won the Scottish under 25s, I was there to prove a point. I didn't get picked for the international team. I think I got a trial, but I didn't even get considered it, even though I was up and coming. I was in the ranks and I was there to prove a point. So the British Isles was really the icing on the cake after the winning the national title. It was definitely, I think that was kind of one of the highlights of my career so far. You're there yourself. You've got to keep yourself going. And I think that's one thing that I pride myself in, that I love playing with other people, but it's having the mental strength to keep yourself going. It's difficult, but no, I do love it.
Yeah, and I kind of obviously that was a big success, and obviously would have been proud of that. But I want to touch on how you said you got rejected for the national. How much does it take to pick yourself back up after those kind of setbacks?
I mean, it was a lot because not that people that had been picked didn't deserve to have been picked, but if you looked on a CV point of view, I had a lot more on there than what people had. Regardless, I mean, bowls, you can never record someone's ability off one game. So we used to go and do like a trial for a day. You can go and have a bad game, but then someone could have a great game and then have an absolute shocker at the series. So I mean, at the trial, I didn't even play bad. So that was the thing that kind of got to me more is I thought I deserved a space other than people that had been in the team. And that's what was my then fuel for the following year. I'm going to go and prove a point and make you regret not picking me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and you did just that. So it's amazing to hear about the career. And we mentioned before about the different types of you play singles, you play doubles. What do you prefer personally?
Personally, I think I'd prefer pairs. Or well, I don't really know. I love singles. Singles is my thing. I can keep myself going. I've got the mental strength and the capability of if I'm not having a good game, sometimes you can't tell. I mean, if it's been a long day and you're out in the heat, then it's a bit different. But I I'm quite good at keeping myself going. Whereas there's no particular event that I don't like. I will play anything and I'll play in any position. I like pairs because it's you often play with someone that you're either very close with or someone that you work well with, and you learn each other's game like off the back of your hand, and you know what they want and what they don't want, and they know the same for you. So yeah, I would probably say singles is my favorite discipline, but I'll play anything.
Yeah, I think that's important. You said you love them all the disciplines and playing all the disciplines. So is it just how much do you love the sport in general? Just is it the highlight of your everyday kind of life, basically, to go out and have a game of long balls?
Well, I would say I've probably put my life on hold, apart from maybe the last couple of years. Like throughout my whole teens, I didn't have like a proper job that I was able to hold down because they wouldn't give me holidays for bowls, or I used to study and I played bowls in the evening or the weekend. So my life has always revolved around bowls. So yeah, I would say that I pretty much love the sport. I've dedicated a lot of my time to it. I mean, this year in itself, I've not had a personal holiday. Every single bank holiday or every day off that I've had has been bowls. So you have to love the sport to dedicate all that time. I'd definitely say that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you mentioned before about finances. Um, how how much do you want other people to get involved in the sport to kind of support not only you but the others on the island that have to go off island to compete and improve their game really?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely benefit us as a sport. I mean, if you look at our membership across the whole island, there's maybe around 500 people. I mean, we've recently been away to Australia, and some clubs had that and social members, never mind bowling members. So it would definitely put us in good stead. I mean, I'm currently working closely with Jersey Sport because I'm their development officer. So I'm trying to work on and see what we can do to improve participation to then get some funding, which would definitely do us good because it's not just the love of bowls. You're obviously having to put the financials in place as well. You're
Yeah,
having to not go on family holidays or not have like a weekend away so you can afford to play. And it's not some like a lot of people would look at it and maybe say that would put people off, but the more people you get into the sport, the better it'll be because you've got more numbers coming in.
yeah,
So yeah, I would definitely encourage people to get involved in it. It's something that's easily to get hooked into, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Um, one last kind of question on your kind of career so far. Obviously, you're still very young and there's plenty to come. But you touched on it before, but what has been your highlight to date?
The British Isles is probably up there. I've had quite a few events. I got picked for the Hong Kong Classic in 2017. So at 17, having to take like 3 weeks off of school to go into the other side of the world and compete, it was amazing. And you see what all of these players are doing, year in, year out. I mean, we've recently just come back from Australia. We're in the Gold Coast. I would say that's up there. I've never been to an event that's had that many participants take part in it. There was 44 nations. So, you were out there in like 27-degree heat or something in their winter, 3 games a day, like 7 hours of bowls. It was intense. But yeah, I would say that's probably up there alongside the British Isles.
Yeah, yeah. How obviously the sport's amazing and going to play the sport's good, but how good is it to go to places like the Gold Coast and places like that to play the sport as well, to visit these places?
It's amazing because every green is different. So we've got 4 or 5 on the island. Everyone's different. So when you're going away to all of these places, you're challenging yourself. You're not just getting used to the same thing and just doing the same thing over and over again. The game itself is hard, and then you're having to adapt to all of these other greens, and it's good. It enhances your ability and definitely improves your career in bowls because if you just done the same thing over and over again, you would get nowhere. So events like that and playing in, Gold Coast, I was in Sydney in May, places like that make you a better bowler because you're more adaptable to different surfaces. And that's what you need to be because I could go on at 8 o'clock and I could go on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it can be completely different. It can change throughout the day. So I would definitely say it's good going away and playing on these different surfaces.
Yeah, is that something that you like cherish and you want to do more in the future as well?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like my kind of long-term goal is Commonwealth. That could be anywhere in the world. It was in Glasgow in 2014. The last one was in England. Both of those greens are really heavy. But then you've got, I think, 2018 was over in Australia. So you're having to constantly adapt. And yeah, definitely it's one of those things that by doing it and getting to these events, you can become better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. we kind of touched on it before, but obviously you started young. How much would you encourage parents to maybe try out bowls as a alternative to maybe your footballs, your netballs, your big sports? But how much would you encourage them to take their kids to have a go at bowls?
Oh, I would encourage it definitely. I mean, we done a summer camp a couple of years ago with Jersey Sport up at the Kenneby, which is the club that I play at. It's in Arts, and all of the kids loved it. You know, it's something that looks so easy, but it's not. And you know, as a child, come in and just looking at it and think, okay, I can just roll this little thing and it'll just go there, and it doesn't. It's challenging. You know, it's enhancing all. You're looking at your mobility, your stability, your mental capacity. You're looking at everything, and it's something that you don't have to be physically active to do it. You don't have to be social to do it. You can, if like children come in and they want to do one-to-one sessions, then that is possible. You know, if they come in and get through the ranks, they can go on and play themselves. You know, we've got a variety of members within all of the clubs. It would definitely be something that I would say to get in at a young age, like being through what I've been through. You discuss it with all of our members all the time that come in at an older age, and they say, you know, I wish I'd taken up when I was younger. So it's something that you get better with over time, but you're constantly learning, so it doesn't get boring.
No, no.
It's not like your hockeys or your footballs where you know you're constantly the goals in the same place, the lines are in the same place. You know, you can change the jack length, the jack can move once you're in gameplay, so you're constantly having to be adaptable. So no, definitely I would encourage anyone of any age to get involved.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like you say, any age as well, because I know someone that started bowls and they're older, but they're loving it so much. So even for the older generations, just go and have a go, I think, is the key message. And how good is it socially as well? Obviously, you're competing at a high level, but at a social kind of level, how good is the sport?
It is good, you know, all of the clubs have bars, which is definitely a good thing. But like, you know, they do Sunday competitions, they do Saturday leagues. You know, we have a Thursday league that the men and the ladies compete separately, but against all of the other clubs. And you have a couple of drinks after the game, or you know, you socialize. The clubs do like social evenings where it's bingo, whether it's karaoke, there's always something going on that you can get involved in if you want to just come up and watch some games and have a cup of tea, or if you want to have a pint, you can. So the social side of it is improving, and there's a lot more members that are getting involved these days. I would say that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. A few tips from you as well for any starter or even someone that's in the sport now. You coach, don't you, as well? So,
Yeah.
so what are your kind of tips for people who might be starting the sport and top tips to be successful in it?
I would say patience and perseverance are two like factors that I always say that take into the sport. You know, you're never going to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I've played bowls for what, 17 years. We all make mistakes. If we were robotic, we'd be amazing at it, but we're not. We're all humans. So you know, you can go on and look at how someone is playing, or you know, look at someone else's game, but the focus is on you. You can go out. I mean, I can still go out this I could go out tomorrow and I could get beat heavily, or I could win heavily. So it's I just, the one thing I would say is to have faith in yourself and persevere through it. So it can be a mentally tough sport, you know, because if your balls aren't going where they want them to, where you want them to, it can be difficult to, you know, comprehend those feelings and why is it not going there. So I, I just wouldn't be, the one key thing is just to not be too hard on yourself, because a lot of people that get involved in bowls often have, you know, family that's involved, or they know someone and they can see what they're capable of, but it doesn't mean you can't get there. It just takes time.
Yeah, no, good advice. And how much do you enjoy the coaching side of it?
I do really enjoy it. I used to do it more when I was back in Scotland. I was doing a lot more coaching, just more time wise, because I didn't have, a proper job, and because I was going and bowls was my main passion. Like I used to do like Friday afternoons, but I've got a busy full-time job as it is. So I do enjoy coaching. I do coaching up at our club up at St Brellards, and we've got, usually it is the older generation or someone that's looking to just try something different. We don't often get many, children. We've had a couple, but not a lot. I mean, long-term plan is to try and, set up like a youth league that in say 5, 10 years time that can run itself, but we just need to get people in to get that going. So we're just kind of looking at who to reach out to and what we can do to try and get people in, because I know other people within the clubs that coach. They love it. It's rewarding seeing someone come out of any age. They don't even have to be a child to, you've coached them, you've seen them come up, they've had a couple of years at the club and you see them winning things.
Yeah,
It's rewarding and it makes it worth it.
yeah, definitely. And we've talked about the social side, but in my head as well, it's not easier because you still have to work really hard to succeed. But to get to those top levels in this sport compared to the bigger sports, football, cricket, rugby, what have you can do it, and you can see through people like yourself that you can reach those levels. So how encouraging is that if people do want their kids to kind of push on in sport, to kind of show them that there is a kind of pathway to those top levels?
Yeah, I mean, the pathway that we've got in place, it's only been officially implemented the last couple of years. If you're doing well at club level, you then get put in, kind of national level. So you're playing against the Guernseys. We have a test every year where Ireland come over, things like that. You then get a chance and a bite at the cherry of those. And for someone who's just at club level to then move to that stage, it's a big thing. Then you've got, the international level. So you're going away playing Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales. You're playing against them for the British Isles titles. That in itself is a big thing. And then, you've got all of the bigger events like the Commonwealth, like the World Bowls. There's a stage for everyone. So whether you want to progress and just be a club player or whether you want to get to a high level, the pathway is there to enable you to do it. Like it may take you a couple of years, but it's something. Bowls is a sport that no matter how old you are, you don't have to retire like you are at cricket, 35, or we've got members that are in their 80s, even 90s, that sometimes are still playing bowls. So they've been through the pathway that we're talking about. They've been at the top of their level and they're now happy just to play like a Wednesday afternoon league or just get themselves involved. So as someone coming in, there is pathway there to get to a high performance level, but if you don't want to, there are other things in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's key to any sport, to have that social side, but to also have that pathway for the ones who want to push on.
Yeah.
One last question from me today. Um, Back to you and your career. You kind of touched on it earlier, but what are your future goals? How high do you want to go in this sport?
You know, like I said before, Commonwealth has always been my main goal since the age of like 10. I've always looked at the Commonwealth as my goal. I mean, if you look at bowls, Alex Marshall, he's the most decorated Commonwealth Games athlete. He's got the most gold medals. He used to live around the corner from me. So you look at someone like him, who were sponsored by the same company. We used to speak very regularly. He's just someone from my hometown. That's where I want to be. He goes over to Australia for 6 months of the year and gets paid to play bowls. I just long term definitely Commonwealth. I wouldn't say no to taking opportunities off island if it did come. But Commonwealth is probably the Commonwealth and World Bowls, getting selected on that stage and hopefully bringing back a medal. Bowls in Jersey, we haven't achieved any medals yet. We've been close. We've got athletes that have got to quarterfinals. Even in the ladies, you know, you had Lindsay Greakin and Katie Nixon. They got beat by a daylight robbery in the I think it was the quarterfinal or the semi-final to go for the gold medal match. So and I think that was the bronze medal. So if they'd won that, they would have got the bronze medal. But it's there, you know. It just, you need to keep digging away at it, and it will eventually come. So yeah, I would say that's kind of my long-term ambitions. I mean, it's difficult because they're obviously talking about not the next Commonwealth not going ahead, which is obviously quite disheartening as an athlete who puts in lots of money and a lot of time for that to be, you know, the main stage, and it potentially be pulled from underneath you.
Yeah. How much do you believe in yourself that you can reach that level and go there and get a medal one day?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I think amongst all of our Jersey bowlers, we're all more than capable of it. It's how you cope under the pressures that are there, you know. It is like any other sport. You've got people that are not shouting for you, that are shouting against you. You're sat in some events, you've literally just got one rink, and either side of you there's chairs, there's big stands, so it's just you. And I think we're more than capable of doing it. It's just having the mental capacity to just keep yourself going, because it can be tough out there.
Yeah, for sure. No, good luck, Megan, and thank you for coming on and speaking about your sport. And I found it really interesting because I have to admit I didn't know much about lawn bowls before this. So it was good to talk and good to kind of see another sport from a passionate player and sports star point of view. So yeah, thank you for your time.
No, it's all right.
No, good, good. Thank you to everyone that's watched or listened to this podcast. Another episode of Sportscast Jersey is coming soon.